evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. UN chief calls for an immediate ceasefire in Yemen as UN seeks to provide around $300 million to meet humanitarian needs in the country. Daesh elements retreat from some Yarmouk camp areas after clashes, as the Syrian president says the situation in Syria is getting more complicated. And Naghal palm trees dates start the early auction season in the wilaya of Dama wa Tain. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe on his country's independence anniversary. Around 40 people were killed in Yemen after airstrikes and fighting. Warplanes pounded a rebel convoy headed to bolster an assault on loyalist forces in Yemen's battleground second city, Aden, while fighting raged in the third city of Taiz. Officials said today at least 20 rebels were killed and 2 tanks and 4 armoured vehicles destroyed in the overnight airstrikes on the convoy headed out of Yemen's largest airbase, Al-Anad. In Taiz, in the Central Highlands north of Aden, at least 16 people were killed as soldiers that have remained loyal to exiled President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi put up fierce resistance to an attack on their base by Houthi rebels and renegade troops. 3 civilians were among the dead when a stray shell hit their home. UN Chief Ban Ki-moon called for an immediate ceasefire in Yemen as he began the hunt for a new peace envoy to the war-torn country, where Al-Qaeda is expanding its territory. The plea follows more than 3 weeks of airstrikes by a coalition aimed at driving back Houthi rebels. Yemen is in flames, Ban told the press in Washington. His remarks followed the resignation of his envoy to Yemen, Jamal Ben Omar, a Moroccan-born career diplomat. Ban said he was in the process of finding a new envoy who can be immediately deployed to seek a political solution. The United Nations launched an appeal today for $273.7 million to meet the humanitarian needs of Yemen over the next 3 months. A statement from the UN humanitarian agency OCHA cited local sources indicating 150,000 people had been displaced, 50% more than the previous UN estimate. Syrian President Bashar Assad has blamed Turkey for the fall of Syria's northwestern city of Idlib last month to fighters, saying Ankara provided huge support, logistic and military, that played the key role in the defeat of his forces. Assad's remarks came in an interview published today in the Swedish daily Expressen. The interview was also published by Syria's state news agency Sana. Idlib's fall was a major blow to Assad's government. The city was captured by opposition fighters led by Al-Qaeda's branch in Syria, the Nusra Front and the ultra-conservative Ahrar al-Sham group. Assad also accused neighbouring Turkey of torpedoing a UN plan for a ceasefire with rebels in the second city of Aleppo. Elements of Daesh group retreated from Yarmouk refugee camp after clashes with Palestinian fighters. Syrian sources mentioned that Palestinian armed men gained advances in the northern front of the camp after clashing with Daesh elements. The sources added that brigades allied with Syrian forces took control of Yarmouk Court in the area and districts around it. Syrian Human Rights Monitor said that it is baseless with the news of withdrawal of Daesh group, and it is still controlling around 80% of the camp area. Iraqi authorities say bombings targeting public places and pro-government fighters have killed 12 people around the capital, Baghdad. Police officials say a bomb blast on a commercial street today killed 4 people and wounded 9 others in Baghdad's southeastern New Baghdad district. Meanwhile, video posted to a social media website purported to show Daesh fighters taking control of an Iraqi military post in Al-Dolab village. Daesh militants clashed with security forces inside Iraq's largest refinery yesterday and held on to recent gains in the west of the country, as Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said the extremist group remained very dangerous. The insurgents suffered a major defeat this month when Iraqi troops and paramilitaries routed them from the city of Tikrit, but are now striking back at Baiji refinery and in the western province of Anbar. Still to come in our news bulletin. Londoners are fleeing to other provinces for affordable housing and property. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The Omani halwa has crossed its mother borders by reaching faraway places, including Australia, where it is well prepared with its original taste by an Omani master degree student in Queensland. More details in the following report by Sultan bin Saif As-Sarai.
A story of Oman is being told here in this little house in Brisbane, Australia. The Omani halwa, as a precious icon of the Omani hospitality, is now wonderfully served in Australia by this young man who spends his spare time making delicious Omani halwa, immersing his dreams, ambition and memories of home into the sweet blend of halwa. Neither homesickness nor studying has stopped Saud, a master's student of public relations at the University of Queensland, from practicing this traditional handicraft that requires both consistent accuracy and attention, not to mention the massive amount of effort that is required to obtain the ingredients of halwa. For the best taste, Saud pays incredible efforts to obtain home-like ingredients which are hardly found here in Australia.
I started making Omani halwa here in Brisbane in the first month of arrival to Australia, and I faced some difficulties where I couldn't find all the important ingredients in making Omani halwa, and then after search I found some of them, and some of them I brought from Oman. Also, I didn't have the best tools in making Omani halwa, especially the cooking pan, which led me to import a copper cooking pan to Australia that is the best in making Omani sweets.
Saud finds his passion and pleasure in halwa making. This appears in the way he makes halwa and the way he serves it. Saud presents his product in fascinating shapes that attract whoever looks at them. Saleh, a friend of Saud, always there to support Saud and to give him a helping hand when needed. Saleh also provides Saud with some creative ideas of how to develop this craft and how to keep its private identity outboard.
Making Omani halwa in a foreign country is considered as a chance for us Omanis to introduce Omani culture. Living with Saud under one roof increased my desire and passion to help make halwa.
Today, Saud is going to deliver some halwa to the shop owner who sells Saud the ingredients of halwa.
We call them maskati in Iran, and that's because they were originally, probably around 100 years ago, they originally came from Muscat, from Oman to Iran. They went to some southern cities of Iran, and then the Iranian people started to make them themselves. They made some changes in it, and we have some kind of maskati now in Iran.
With this ambitious talent, Saud simplifies a wonderful example of the Omani youth who are dedicated to their valuable heritage. This extraordinary experience of making halwa expresses ages of Omani history that's being taught here in one of the most remote lands in the world.
In the Wilaya of Dama wa Ta'in, early dates harvest started with Naghal dates, where the first dates auction deal was held with more than 1,300 Omani Riyals in Saut village. The citizens of the Wilaya will witness rich dates harvest this year because of the reduction of palm trees' dubas bug, in addition to the season being 10 days early comparing with previous years. Dates trading is not limited to the citizens of the Wilaya, but it exceeded to reach Sultanate traders level and the Gulf Cooperation Council countries level. Heritage Festival in the Wilaya of Nakhal in the Governorate of Al-Batina was held at Nakhal Castle to embody Omani traditions. The festival included handicrafts and traditional singing arts, in addition to educational and entertainment events for children. The three-day festival was organized in cooperation with Omani Women's Association. Handicrafts women of the Wilaya also participated in the festival to highlight heritage crafts by women of the Wilaya of Nakhal. Hafiz bin Rashid School in the Wilaya of Asib witnessed holding the activities of the third Scientific Inventions Students Forum under the theme of Inventions is Our Goal. The forum exhibited a number of scientific items and heritage pieces with the participation of students from various educational and vocational institutions in the Governorate of Muscat. The forum showcased pictures of old vehicles, devices for mobile phones, radio and photography, with the history of one of them being dated back to the First World War. Expensive housing, an overload transport system and a lack of space are driving thousands of Londoners out of the hectic British capital to other calmer cities such as Birmingham. Here is a report.
And ahead of the UK's general election, the housing crisis has become a major theme. But rather than relocating to the countryside, people are moving to cheaper cities like Manchester, Bristol and here in Birmingham.
The rental prices are half of what they are in London. London is becoming exceptionally hard to be able to afford to live in London. You've got lots of outside investors coming in, and properties, I'd say a property here would cost $500 a month. It would probably cost nearly $2,000 a month in London.
Birmingham's the UK's second biggest city, with a diverse population of 1.2 million. It's urban living without the stressful commute and London hustle. And new residents are bullishly enthusiastic about their new home. Chris is one of thousands to move from the capital.
So Birmingham really was a no-brainer for us. It seemed to have a good local community of businesses. There was strong universities, Birmingham University, Aston, BCU, with kind of like a technical or creative skill set. And generally you're not too far from London in Birmingham, but you get all the advantages of lower overheads and rents, cheaper employment, and actually there's some good quality candidates out there. So for a growing business, it was really good for us.
Destroyed by German bombers in World War II, Birmingham was rebuilt as an unattractive concrete jungle. But it's reinventing itself. The canals have been redeveloped, the train station revamped, there's a new library, department stores, and 4 Michelin-starred restaurants.
So we attracted 6,000 jobs last year, 77 projects, which brought in considerable amounts of investment. And also what we're seeing now are companies that want to invest in our real estates.
The capital, meanwhile, continues to attract tourists and businesses from all over the world. And Birmingham can't claim to have the same glamorous allure. It's hardly London, but that can be a good thing.
After more than 2 decades of conflict that decimated Somalia's economy, the banana industry is bouncing back. More details in the following report.
On this plantation in Afgoye, less than an hour's drive outside Mogadishu, workers harvest the fruit of an industry on the bounce, bananas. The heavy bunches are carried to a waiting truck, which will transport them to the capital's port, and from there to destinations far and wide.
Today we're exporting 12 containers of bananas to Iran following a contract we signed with an Iranian company.
After more than 2 decades of conflict that decimated Somalia's economy, the banana industry is once again resurgent. With an improving security situation in the country, banana farmers are steadily scaling up production for both domestic and foreign buyers. Although the Growers Association estimates that less than a third of the 5,000 hectares previously in use remain active today.
The Ministry of Agriculture has helped one of the export companies that has managed to export bananas for the first time in 25 years.
Part of the industry's draw is the easy access to seaports from farms and the close proximity to Middle Eastern markets. And of course, it's also about taste. Since Italian colonists first brought bananas to Somalia in the 1920s, the fruit has become a major staple of the country's cuisine, often paired with rice or pasta. But in this Mogadishu market, sellers complain that the push to export bananas abroad is causing local prices to rise.
Bananas used to be very cheap, but the price has now doubled. People don't like the increase in price, and you cannot persuade them to pay more. The export of bananas is causing us problems.
Other challenges remain too, like rebuilding irrigation systems, roads and storage facilities, and ongoing security concerns. Still, many are betting that the time is ripe for Somalia to regain its crown as the leading East African banana exporter.
And now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of clouds on the Hajar Mountains and fog early morning in the southeastern coasts. Winds along the coast of Sea of Oman will be northeasterly light to moderate, while along the rest of the Sultanate it will be southerly to southwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight to moderate along the coasts of Sea of Oman and the western coast of Musandam, with a maximum wave height of 2 meters, while it will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. UN chief calls for an immediate ceasefire in Yemen as UN seeks to provide around $300 million to meet humanitarian needs in the country. Daesh elements retreat from some Yarmouk camp areas after clashes as the Syrian president says the situation in Syria is getting more complicated. And Nagal palm tree dates start the early auction season in the wilaya of Dama wa Ta'in. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.